Hello there. What is going on, everybody? We are talking about Star Trek Into the Unknown today, and it is rumor time. We're going to be talking about rumors. I know a lot of people have been talking about available rumors, things that they've heard, what's coming, is there something coming, is the game not going to be doing anything, what's happening at Adepticon, what is coming, what expansions are there. I just want to break down all the rumors and maybe add a little salt and pepper to the rumor mill as this system goes completely supernova behind me and blows up. Fortunately, our shields are up, so I think we'll be able to. We might need to. You know what? In full impulse. Let's get the heck out of here. Okay. No, I think the ship is doomed. Fortunately, we're only in a simulation. If this had been a real ship, I would be in an escape pod right now. So let's talk about. Let's talk about Star Trek Into the Unknown and rumors. There's a lot to talk about. Also, if you guys are new here to the channel, we talk a lot about Starship games, miniatures games, board games, tabletop gaming, and sci-fi, Star Wars, Star Trek, all kinds of stuff like that. Love to have you stick around. We are doing a $25 Amazon gift card giveaway. There's a few days left to enter to win that, so all you have to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. I want to know some of your hopes and dreams for Star Trek Into the Unknown. What are you hoping to see? So on main viewer, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the existing rumors. But first I want to talk about Adepticon because a lot of times big news happens at Adepticon, and we're getting very close to Adepticon. Now, I have talked to WizKids about what their plans are for Adepticon. I think the focus this year is going to be on learn to play scenarios, getting people exposure to the game. It's one of those games that is a little bit heavier than I think a lot of people were expecting, and that a lot of people, a lot of people came from games like X-Wing and Armada, and I think it's got a little bit more meat on its bones than maybe they were expecting. So I think there's a lot of wisdom in trying to get a lot of focus on learn to play, teaching, getting a lot of exposure. Again, a whole new game system is a lot for people to jump into, and I think if you can get people who happen to come at a convention and that are interested, you can actually sit down at a table with them and show them how to play instead of just having them read a PDF rulebook or something like that. I think it's a great way to approach it and to reach a lot of new people who then can go back to their communities and then teach other folks how to play. It's a great thing about it. But I also think that they're going to be talking to people and they're going to want to be able to have something to talk about that's new. So when we get into the rumors and stuff, I think there's a chance that they'll have some new things to talk about. And it may come actually sooner than Adepticon. There could be some news coming as early as next week. So we'll definitely keep our eyes peeled and our ears peeled and our hailing frequencies open, at the risk of being cliche to say that, but I think it's appropriate for this setting and this theme. But yeah, there should be some news coming soon, and this way they'll have new things. They'll have new things they can talk about at Adepticon, especially for people who were at recent conventions. I think they're going to want to have newer stuff to be able to talk about, and that's approved and licensed and cleared through marketing and cleared through all the channels that they can talk about openly, and that'll be a very cool thing. But what rumors are already out there? Because when the game was first announced, part of that initial press release was an initial release schedule. Now, obviously, things change. Obviously, plans change. Things are still changing globally right now. I live in the United States, and there's all kinds of tariff stuff that's going on right now. So a lot of things can change between now and any given day. I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day or the day after that. So with that in mind, anything that we're going to talk about, you've got to keep in mind that all of these things can change and unforeseen things happen all the time. But with that caveat out there, we'll talk about some of the things that were said and things that we can certainly assume are still possibly coming. And there's some of these things that I have a little more faith in and some that I have a little bit less faith in. But like the dates. I don't think the core set was going to come out April 2024. I don't think any of these 2024 dates that were originally planned are going to come to fruition, considering we're in 2025. But the initial expansion pack names were initially advertised as Rising Tensions, Glory and Zeal, and Scars of Occupation. Now, there's a lot of things to think about when you think about those. I think, I've said the word think way too many times. One could presume that things like Scars of Occupation would pertain to Cardassians and Bajorans and a lot of the Deep Space Nine storyline. It definitely, I would guess very heavily at that. And we don't have to guess too much, because there are plenty of things that already indicate that these factions have been planned. You see that when you look at the core set games and you look at the sway that certain characters have. We've seen everything from Klingons to Ferengi, including Bajor and Cardassia in there. So there's definitely plans for these. So I think knowing that Cardassia and Bajor were planned, I think it's very easy to assume that the Scars of Occupation will feature at least Cardassia, if not Bajor also. Now, Bajor doesn't have a whole lot of ships. It has been, there's another rumor going around that the Maquis will play a role in that, and I think that definitely works. It works on a number of levels, not just for Deep Space Nine, but for late series TNG as well. Next Generation, I could see Ro Laren fitting into that as well. It's just a great opportunity to put Ro Laren in there, who initially was supposed to be on Deep Space Nine, but ended up not doing that, and they came up with Kira Nerys. It wasn't originally supposed to be Major Kira in Deep Space Nine. It's a lot of cool little deep cuts and opportunities to put Ro Laren in there. A lot of cool stuff like that. Glory and Zeal, I think, when I first heard about that, I was thinking, well, that should be Klingons. And while it certainly could be, it also could be Romulans, although I feel like Romulans might be a little bit farther out, but I do think there's a pretty good chance that Romulans will be featured in that second pack, Glory and Zeal. Could be Romulans in a Ferengi ship. I don't think we'll get, there's certain factions I don't think we'll get them as a full-blown faction. Like Cardassia could be a full-blown faction, but I think, with Sway being what it is, I think it's very likely that you will see Cardassia and the Dominion intermingle a lot, as there's not a whole lot of more Dominion stuff that they can do. I think there's a Dominion battleship that they can do still, but there's not a tremendous amount. So you've got that. There's also the first expansion, Rising Tensions. And this is also assuming that all of these three happen along the same outline. Some things could have been pushed back. But I have good reason to believe that Rising Tensions is the next expansion. A very good reason to believe. I have a lot of faith in that being the first expansion. Now, exactly what it is remains to be seen. There are certain things I have more faith in. I have pretty good faith that it's going to feature Klingons. I have pretty good faith that it's going to feature cloaking, which I think it's been stated in multiple interviews and stuff. I don't think it's in any way divulging too many secrets to say that cloaking was initially designed in the core set, and that is one of the reasons where there was a delay, because the game is already very rules heavy. Cloaking was basically a decision made so that cloaking would come with the first expansion with the Klingons, so this way there'd be less upfront, overwhelming amount of rules, which makes me think that cloaking might be a little on the complicated side. I could speculate all day on how cloaking will work, but there's certain things that we can sort of deduce. I don't think it's going to be as simple as just increasing evasion, although I do think if you're firing at a cloaked ship, if you're able to at all, then it will have a higher evasion. But there's already stealth, having played incident missions as well as campaign missions. There's a campaign mission where you have a Federation shuttlecraft that gains stealth, and it's a significant boost to the evasion stat, and it does make it very hard to hit. And that's a very straightforward mechanic. I don't know if cloaking will be quite that simple. I think cloaking will be a little bit more like it is in the show. and we know a little bit. We know that there's the potential for them to have sort of like a signature. We can see things already in the game. If you look at the Jem'Hadar fighter, you can try to do things to expose a cloaked vessel and things of that sort. Now, it is also highly speculated that there will be another Defiant class ship in Rising Tension, so it may be like a big box expansion, or it may just be like a wave of multiple ships. I'm not sure the exact format, but I'm leaning more towards big box for a number of reasons. One of those reasons is retailers and shelf space. It's a lot easier for a retailer to stock expansion number 1, and it's all of these ships, as opposed to, you know, oh, I want this and this and this and this and this and this. It's a lot easier for stores to just say, okay, well, we're going to get expansion 1. And then maybe the individual expansions you can order from WizKids Direct or whatever. Because they do a lot of stuff like that. There's a lot of ordering from WizKids Direct on their on their website as well. And if you pre-order with some of those things, apparently there's also some promo stuff that you can get. Now, I have pre-ordered the Metallic Enterprise that should hopefully be shipping soon. I know, like, some people have asked me, hey, how come you didn't get like a preview version of that? I didn't ask for it because they were already so generous. I didn't feel like, I didn't want to presume and stuff. And I just like, you know, I've already unboxed an Enterprise for them. So I just pre-ordered that. And I wanted another one. I just wanted to see, you know, wanted to get my hands on it. So that will eventually come someday. So we'll be doing more unboxings and comparisons and stuff. But I saw my buddies over at Ion Radio already did one. So if you want to check it out now, you can do that. They have a really good look at it. And it is what you'd expect. It is just another version of the Enterprise, but I still want it. So nothing wrong with that. Okay. I do also have reason to believe that there will be, well, they've already said that there'd be more scenarios available, downloadable scenarios, that there should be another scenario coming soon, presumably with the launch of the extra Enterprise to allow multiple large ships. For people who have bought a second Galaxy class that want to be able to run it alongside the Enterprise before maybe all the other expansions come out, there may be an additional expansion. This will also be good for people who've purchased multiple core sets. I know there's not a whole lot of need to buy multiple core sets, but gosh, you're getting some really cool miniatures. And I've honestly thought about getting a second core set as well, just because I really love the ships and it'd be very, very cool. And another little bonus of getting a second core set would be like, we've kind of come dangerously close to running out of victory points and our negative victory points, especially because I tend to play Dominion and tend to like open fire over and over and over again, even when I'm not supposed to, because I'm just a shootaholic, and there's a lot of victory point tokens that get taken out of the common pile in my games. So, but yeah, so some of the speculation for the Rising Tensions pack is that it will feature Klingons. I've heard everything, and it sounds reasonable. I've heard everything from the Negvar, which I'm not convinced a Negvar will be in there, but it doesn't sound too far out of the realm of possibility, because that's one of those ships that was in the TNG finale. And of course, I would love to see a future Enterprise. I really, really love it. And I know some people say, oh, well, that was an alternate future or whatever. I'm like, I don't care. It's rule of cool. And I want it. And I really want it. And I really, really want it. And those are 3 important reasons to have it. Let me know if you agree. Okay. But the Negvar also did eventually show up in the Dominion War. So it does make sense. But the Vorcha, I'm sure they will do. I am also sure they will do a Klingon bird of prey. What is unclear is how many birds of prey. Will they be Kvort, which are like the larger ones, which I think would be a medium, or would they do the Burrell, which would be the small? I think if you're doing the Negvar, if you're doing a Negvar and a Vorcha, you're going to have a lot of large ships. You're going to be a little bit heavy on large ships. So I think small will be more important. However, whatever they do out of these, I have a little extra rumor to add, whether or not you've heard this or not. There is a very reasonable chance to assume that similar to the awesome toy factor that we got with the Galaxy class, with the separating saucer section, which took me back to the days of Micro Machines, which was like awesome nostalgia just to have these things in my hand. And I love them. I love them, love them, love them so much. I had said at one point, I wonder if they're going to make the wings move on the Birds of Prey. The old Micro Machines had, a version where the wings could go up and they could come down, because you see Birds of Prey in all of those different configurations, and it's glorious when they can go up and down. I'd be fine if it didn't, but if it did, what a bonus that would be. I have reason to believe that that may actually come true. Of course, we'll have to wait and see. But there's a very reasonable chance that that might be something that happens. Again, little birds whisper, and some birds are more trustworthy than others, and I'll leave it at that. Okay, but I don't think it's just going to be these three things that we're going to get, because they're also, if you go back to the original Gamma announcement, they're talking about expansions. Now, these aren't just going to be ships and scenarios, but also characters. We're going to get new characters with these. In the Rising Tensions box, while I don't think it's supposed to only be Klingons, it's supposed to be some Federation ships. I've heard everything from Defiance to Miranda class, which makes sense, to Oberth, to Excelsior. Again, I don't think we're going to get all of that. I think bits and pieces are true. I cannot wait to find out whether it's going to be all one giant bundle. I mean, I'm going to get everything for this regardless. I think I can't think of too many Star Trek ships expansions that I wouldn't want to get, unless they started going like real deep cuts into the original trilogy or stuff like that. Or not original trilogy. I'm getting my Star Wars and Star Trek mixed up. But in the original series stuff, I'm a little less like anchored into, because TNG was really my first Star Trek, and then DS9 became my favorite Star Trek later in life. Also interested in Voyager stuff too, again, as part of, for me, the holy trinity of Star Trek, which is TNG, DS9, Voyager, but doesn't mean that those are the only Star Trek, because there's plenty of good Star Trek. It's not all good, Section 31 was there, and I was glad to sit down and watch it. That's all I'm going to say about that. But we've got awesome stuff like Lower Decks. And, original trilogy still got a lot of episodes. I still haven't watched all of the original trilogy. So there's, again, I'm getting off topic here. It's easy for me to start rambling when we're talking Star Trek, because I love to talk Star Trek. But, we might see other things too. More downloadable scenarios. An FAQ. I have reason to believe that is coming. I'm not sure if that's going to be like as soon as everything else, or if it's going to at least be announced that it's coming. But I do know that there have been, like, I've submitted questions. I know a lot of you guys have. I know there's things that, now that everybody's getting their hands on the game, everybody's playing it, people are falling in love with it. I've got friends who are like crazy about this game. David, for example, I know you're watching. Is absolutely nuts about this game. Wants to play test and everything. He's just like I'm in. I want to play it every single day. And I know a lot of people who are like that over the moon about this game, because it's very, very cool. So I get it. I've submitted a lot of things. We've all been getting our hands on this game. There's certain questions that have come up. Certain things that, like, I can assume that it might work this way, but I'm not sure. How do you guys, and so I've asked, and I've been told that a lot of like this stuff is all being put together, and rather than just answer individual emails, because if you've sent in questions, or if you dropped off questions on Board Game Geek, or if you've emailed WizKids and all this stuff, like they're collecting all of this, and it's gonna be consolidated. It's gonna be pushed out. They're going to be doing these things, but they're going to do it in chunks. So it's not, because otherwise you'd just be answering individual emails all day long, every day, and it would get to be overwhelming. So that's the method that they're going with that. And so that's something that we can expect updated. Again, you have all the rulebooks online. You have all that information at the website. And so you can get your updated FAQs and all of that stuff. Will be hopefully addressed, satisfying all of your inquisitive needs as just as much as a queue might do, as long as they didn't put you in a Robin Hood costume, unless of course you are a merry man or a merry lady, or just a merry fellow of spacefaring explorer. Anyway, so that's some of the rumors that are coming. I think we're going to be getting something solid sooner rather than later. I'm definitely hoping within like the next week or two to be hearing something. I think they're going to want to definitely have something to announce, something to be able to talk about, something announced before Adepticon, which is in March. I will be there, by the way. So if you are planning to go to Adepticon, I know WizKids is going to be there. There'll be hopefully there'll be people to answer questions, to talk with you, chat with you, and share your enthusiasm about the game. There'll be learn to play scenarios. I'm not sure if they're doing an Adepticon specific like scenario or like a new scenario or anything new. So I don't know if you need to bring your ships yet, or if there's anything like that going on, because I don't think they're doing like a tournament. Not this year, maybe in the future. I know that there have been some ideas tossed around. I've certainly made my pitch for some of the cool ideas that I'd love to see at conventions. I'm not going to spoil any of it, though, because if it ends up happening, and I want it to be a cool surprise, but my whole approach to convention games, especially if you're going to do something that's a little bit more narrative and it's not a standard competitive tournament, is give me an experience at a convention that I can't get at home. I know some other companies will come up with just like a print and play. Oh, here's a special scenario we're going to run at the convention, and it's just you versus somebody else with like a special rule set and use the tokens in a different way. Okay, well, I could just do that at home. I could have stayed at home and you could have just emailed me the PDF and I could have done it at home. So let's try and how can we take advantage of being at a convention and having a large play area space and having a lot of people around? Like a big multiplayer battle is one possible option. Granted, you might be able to do that at home depending on your community, but you certainly have better options for things like that at a convention. So, who knows? I don't know if they'll have anything like that this year. That's probably something like a little bit more for like early 2026 announcements for what they might be doing at next Adepticon or maybe a Gen Con or something like that. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm very excited. Of course, as new information gets announced, I'll be bringing it to you. I'll be covering it all. It's going to be very, very exciting. Don't forget to enter to win that $25 Amazon gift card giveaway. You just have to, again, be a subscriber, leave a comment on this or one of my videos. I typically announce winners towards the end of my videos. One of the reasons I'll do that is because I do want to incentivize you to watch all the way through. It's better for me. It's better for the algorithm. And hopefully you enjoy the content long enough to bear with me for me to ramble on and chat about subjects that I'm very passionate about, and hopefully you are too. And sometimes I have good stuff that I kind of save to the end, stuff that's kind of crazy, like mini crabs. Oh my gosh, he's on the main view. So who knows what you're gonna see? All right, well, all right, that's gonna do it. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and again, big thanks to my patrons. You guys are out of this world and help make this whole channel possible. Thank you so much for your continued support. I will talk to you later. May the force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. So say we all. And always wash your socks.